Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Feels like Friday, which might be why Beck just played the Corks intro. We won't be here tomorrow, but we'll have a show brought to you by...
I literally did. I was never going to notice that.
It is Thursday. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. As you just heard, Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We're off tomorrow, so it's the last day of our work week. Hopefully, your work week's in the rearview mirror. If it is not, we will help get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Sam Spiegelman with us in 15 minutes. Maybe with Rivals, maybe with On 3. They merged. I'll ask him in the next segment. Either way, we're going to talk recruiting with Sam Spiegelman coming up here in the next segment. Derek Curiel is the D1 Baseball SEC Freshman of the Year. Let's compare him to Dylan Cruz, shall we? We'll do that at the bottom of the hour. Saints alternate uniforms, SEC Network takeovers, LSU freshman pitchers, Kellen Moore's offense spreading the ball around. Lots to do on our final edition of the week here, the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's start it up the way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So this is not new information, but it kind of bubbled up on the internet yesterday. So let's talk about it, shall we? It's the uniform patches. You all know that revenue sharing is upon us. You all know that the players across the various sports on the campuses of these big-time athletic programs are going to receive north of $20 million this next year and moving forward. So the schools are in this never-ending battle to create revenue. And one of the avenues that LSU is looking to explore is the uniform patch and the marking on the field to have businesses have their logo prominently displayed and to be paid handsomely for that. And Wilson Alexander, the Advocate, wrote the story, and we actually talked to Wilson about the story last week. And so, like I'm saying, this is not brand new information, but I have, definitive thoughts on this. And if you've listened to me over time, I think you've got a feeling where this is probably going. Beck, what do you think I'm going to say about these uniform patches?
That you don't really like them that much.
Okay. That's fair, and I think that's what most people think. I am an old man. I yell at clouds.
The uniform czar.
I don't adapt to change. I am the uniform czar. And it really, really made me cranky last year when LSU continued to run out of the tunnel in goofy-looking uniforms. I didn't like it at all. Y'all heard that week in and week out. I don't want them to wear icy whites. I don't want them to wear purple uniforms with white helmets. I don't want them to wear gold uniforms with white pants. That drives me nuts. I don't like seeing it. I like tradition. I like branding. And I like LSU to wear their classic uniforms. You all know that. And some of you vehemently disagree with me and think I'm an old man who sounds like an idiot. Some of you think I'm right on because you like the tradition as well. And tradition's important. Tradition is what makes football programs unique. It makes families unique. It makes groups of friends unique. Things that you do over and over and over again that kind of create your personality. It's like the soul of a college football program. It's important. And so you would suggest, based on all these things that you know about me and the things that I've said, you would go, well, he clearly is going to think this is the worst idea he's ever seen. I don't think that. I think it's what you have to do. You can't have these massive revenue streams that everyone else is using to pay players and not use them. That is creating a disadvantage for yourself. Said another way, you're creating an advantage by raking in the revenue from these sponsorship opportunities to help pay your players and fund your athletic program. It is a completely separate issue to me than what color jersey you wear, right? There's no advantage or disadvantage, so I just have to just judge it on face value and go, I hate the way that looks. I may not like the way a patch looks, and I don't like the way a patch looks, but it's necessary to create the money to pay the players. And guess what? If I've got the opportunity to not wear a patch and not get the player, as opposed to wear the patch and get the 5-star transfer who comes in and scores a touchdown against Alabama because there was revenue available to pay him, I want that guy scored a touchdown with the patch on his uniform. End of discussion. And the fact of the matter is that when I'm sitting in the press box or I'm watching from home and LSU wears the icy white uniforms, that's just very obvious and apparent to me, and I don't like it. When LSU puts a patch on their shoulder that very likely, as we're told, is going to be purple and gold, from my seat in the press box or John's seat in the south end zone or looking at it on television, I probably can't even see the patch. I watch the Cubs every night. Watched them last night. They played the Guardians. Won. It was awesome. Fell down early. Great offensive effort to come back late. Showed figured it out. Great win for the Cubs. Guess what? The whole time they were wearing a Motorola patch, blue one, right there on the sleeve. Can't even really notice it. Blends in with the uniform. I didn't even know until I looked to write a column on LouisianaSports.net this morning that the patch is on different shoulders based on what side of the plate a player hits from. It's on the front. I didn't even know that. So for the guys that hit left-handed, it's on their right arm. For the guys that hit right-handed, it's on their left arm. I had to look that up for the column because I was writing that I thought Motorola was on the left sleeve, and that's what I wrote. And I went, let me go look, and I went back and looked at a video. Nope, it alternates based on what shoulder's out front because they want when the guy's hitting to be there.
So which one is on which sleeve is Ian Happ's on?
I'm assuming they either pick one or they look at the starting pitcher. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there's reasonable point, switch hitter, we'll see. But the point being, like, the jersey patch to me is far less significant than what uniforms you actually wear. And in terms of watching the game, I should say, it's far more significant than what color uniform you wear based on the money that's coming into the program. And the fact of the matter is you're in a massive arms race with everyone to create funds and to have money available. Used to be, you know what? You got rich boosters. You're paying some guys some bucks under the table. Make it work. That's how we're accumulating our roster. Now, like, this is over-the-table business transaction type stuff. Bottom line stuff. And if this is a $5 million deal, an $8 million deal, a $10 million deal, whatever the case may be, the Yankees are getting $25 million from an insurance company. And guess what? If that team can do it and that brand can do it, everybody can do it. Because the Yankees put a patch on their sleeve before their infielders could grow a mustache. It's better said, a beard. I think they could have mustaches back in the day, but no beards. So if you gave me my choice, said, okay, you can either have the patch and the money or go back and no one does any money and there's no patch, like, what would you rather look at? I would rather look at a uniform that doesn't have a patch on it. I don't care if it's Canes or Dow Chemical. I don't care if it's Walk-Ons or Sprint. I don't care if it's McDonald's, whatever. I would rather not have the patch. But the fact of the matter is the patch is pretty insignificant. I'm still going to be the grumpy old man the first time LSU comes out of that tunnel this year in icy whites, which I'm assuming is going to happen. Brian Kelly's kind of set that precedent. He lets the kids wear whatever they want. They don't want to wear the classic uniforms. I'm assuming that's going to move forward. And I'm not going to talk about it on the show very often, but still, when they come out of the tunnel, I'm going to be like, well, that looks dumb. And that's fine. I'll still pull for them to win. And ultimately, what they do on the field will matter most, not the uniforms. But when it comes down to the patch, and it comes down to the actual dollars and cents, and it comes down to actually funding the program and building the rosters, slap that bad boy on there and put one on the 20-yard line while you're at it. Because this is about actually winning games. The icy whites and the purples don't affect the scoreboard one iota. The players you pay with the money you get from the patches, that matters on the field. Put the patch on it. Now, I'm not trying to turn this into NASCAR, okay? I don't need them coming out looking like the Premier League soccer teams with an airline across the chest. That's a bridge too far, and I don't think we're anywhere close to that. I think that the powers that be will step in and go, that's not what we want this to look like. You need to find your revenue elsewhere. We're not going to sell naming rights to the jersey. But as long as we're not slapping things on the helmet instead of the tiger and changing the colors of the uniform and all that kind of stuff, we're not coming out in bright red and yellow for McDonald's, then I'll be fine with the patch. Go get the players. Because we've turned this into, we've got to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to buy out coaches all the time, and we got to pay tens of millions of dollars to the players every single year. They got to find the money somewhere. And if corporations are willing to fork it over to put something that I can't even really see on the shoulder, I'm all for it. And I don't know that there's much of a different way to look at it, unless you just want to fall behind and want to put the the patch or no patch ahead of actually beating Florida in football. And if that's the way you sit, well, then we just are watching two different things and we have two different emotional attachments to what we're watching. I think this is a take that most people wouldn't imagine that I would have, but this is just obvious. One dislike for me with the alternate uniforms has no bearing on the outcome. The other, big bearing on the outcome. Beck, are you surprised to hear me suggest that I don't care about the patches?
A little bit. We talked about this yesterday on AFR. Me and Musso did, and I mentioned that I figured that Hunt would not be very happy about it. But yeah, I kind of had the same position as you, and it makes sense that you would as well. You're obviously going to still be upset with the other uniforms, but at the end of the day, whatever LSU has to do to be as competitive as the other team, that's going to be the top priority.
Ultimately, I never waver from that. I always say, like, okay, what's the rule change, and how does that affect LSU winning a championship? And this is a rule change. And how does it affect LSU winning a championship? You have to put the patch on. There's no effect on a championship with alternate uniforms. You either like them or you don't, and I don't. This is material. And so I'm like, okay, let's get on it. So that's my Genesis opening drive for today. Uniform patches with LSU football. We'll compare Dylan Cruz and Derek Curiel coming up. We also will talk about the SEC Network takeover coming up. LSU freshman pitchers coming up. When we come back, let's talk some recruiting. Sam Spiegelman from Rivals and On 3 that merged this week. We'll talk to him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Ochsner, We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. My guy Sean Sagrera hooked it up this morning, dropped off some steaks, some ground beef to the Palmer residents. Family's headed out to the lake this weekend, and we are going to put that on the grill. I cannot wait to tell you more about Sean and the crew over at Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. But by this point, you know, some of the best beef in the nation, top 1%, and it's right outside of Baton Rouge there in Ethel. Appreciate Sagrera Farms for making our Thursday shows possible all year long. Let's talk some recruiting. Sam Spiegelman is a national recruiting analyst, and I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce where he's from, because at this point, I just don't want to get it wrong, and I know that we had a merger this week. So, Sam, who do you work for at this point? Let's talk about that, and then we'll go into some players.
I am still the national recruiting analyst at Rivals, so that is all the same. The last three places I've worked have been Rivals on 3 and Rivals, and now they're just all one big umbrella. So I think that no matter what you say, you really can't go wrong at this point.
Rivals and On 3 merge. Sam does an awesome job covering the entire sport for that outlet. So let's talk some recruiting. Yesterday, a couple of announcements that LSU was involved in. Start with the one that they got, Trenton Henderson, and what that recruitment looked like and what kind of prospect LSU's looking at.
Yeah, you have to give credit to this entire LSU staff. They came from behind in that recruitment. Obviously, Pensacola, proximity-wise, not too far from Baton Rouge, but naturally schools like Florida and Miami were very much in play with Trenton Henderson. Auburn was a leader at parts of the spring, and the Longhorns were the team that really started to surge as a July commitment was approaching, but LSU was able to kind of knock it out of the park on that official visit. An edge defender like Trenton Henderson is exactly what LSU was coveting in this class. They had missed on a couple of those targets already. So beating out rivals like Florida, like Auburn, and like Texas, getting Trenton on board, that's a huge piece towards what's shaping up to be a big summer for BK and the Tigers. And J.J. Bush, another guy that they would have loved in the secondary. You know, a late surge from Arkansas, but more today than ever. We're seeing those late surges and those teams win down the stretch. So, you know, they were playing from behind with Trenton and came out on top. They were leading the way with JJ for a good chunk of time and then missed. So we'll see how that one plays out moving forward.
Yeah, it's just I've watched LSU recruiting for a long time. I don't recall a lot of folks going to Arkansas when LSU's really in the mix. What can you tell us kind of about how that unfolds?
Yeah, you know, LSU and really Blake Baker was the driving force of why the Tigers were basically either at or very much near the top with JJ for a good chunk of his recruitment. Once LSU offered and got him back on campus for a workout and then for his official visit, it seemed like this was a match made. Baylor was in the mix for a while. Mississippi State was in the mix for a while. But Arkansas was a team that during these official visits, you know, we heard some, hey, that he might be leaning LSU, but keep an eye out for the Razorbacks. I don't need to tell you, Hunt. You know, that's where Walmart is. They know what Sam Pittman has the funds to go out and get talented players. Listen, J.J. Bush is a very talented linebacker prospect. He certainly will be playing somewhere in the SEC. This is just a win for the Razorbacks, you know, surging late for a talented kid from the Mobile area.
This is maybe too far deep into the weeds to answer, but I want to toss it out there. With the revenue sharing that's now part of the college football fabric, like, does that change the tenor of a recruiting conversation as opposed to just the wild, wild west of NIL?
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, the NIL era has been way more unpredictable than we've ever seen. We've seen more of these like late shakeups and twists and turns, and kids love the graphics. They love to keep their finalists and the contenders out in the public, even if they're keeping their leader or their top 2 or 3 private. So nowadays, with the revenue sharing, with the NIL factors, we're seeing kids commit to schools that we didn't see in their top 4 or top 5 when they said they were going to make a July 3rd or a July 4th announcement. That just goes to show you that if some schools miss on a target, they got more to spend on another target at the same position. So we're used to saying, hey, LSU's board looks like player A, player B, and player C. But because of this new era that we are in, if they miss on target A or target B, I don't think they're going to miss on target C because they got the funds to go get them, and it's just a different model that we're accustomed to. But certainly playing itself out in real time right now with this 2026 class.
And I'm not even talking about J.J. Bush here. I'm not talking about Trenton Henderson. I'm talking big picture in this way. Is this playing out more so like free agency, where teams have allotted funds and they basically reach their limit for that player in that position based on that skill set, and if someone goes above that, and they just kind of move on? You're seeing teams kind of bow out for recruitments if it gets a little too rich for their blood?
100%. I've had some schools in the last couple of days be like, hey, that we think this kid is one of the best players in the country, but we can't match that number that this program threw at them. It's a completely different mindset, but they, at the same time, when you're thinking about it from a front office perspective, high school recruits of 4 and 5-star kids, some are ready to step in and play day one. Some are a little bit more developmental. That's not a knock on it. It's just the nature of the beast with high school recruits. So if someone is commanding a super high price tag from the high school ranks, a college front office has to make the decision whether we want to invest in this kid as a high school prospect, or are we going to go maybe into Louisville and steal their left tackle because we can now pay him a market value and we can bring him to the SEC. And I think there'll be a couple of college scouts when LSU plays Bama or plays A&M in a couple of months. So these are real-time decisions that front offices are making, not just GMs, not just, director of player personnel. These are full front office decisions at this point.
Sam Spiegelman is our guest, national recruiting director for Rivals and On3. All right, I can't let you get out of here without talking about Lamar Brown. I know that it's a dead period for in-person contact. I'm assuming A&M and LSU are going to be blowing him up over the next week. What do you think the next week looks like, and do you feel like we'll reach our conclusion here on the 10th?
Yeah, that is the question, right? If you're an LSU fan, listen, it sounds super cliche, it sounds super boring and stirred up, but I have heard from before his official visit to LSU until earlier this morning that this is as close to a 50-50 coin flip as it gets. I can say this, A&M has been the team that LSU fans have been worried about and should be worried about. He has logged, I believe, 10 visits over the last 13 months. And A&M is the first team that opened the book to Lamar that, hey, maybe you should try defensive line. And they put him right at the top of their board and have been coming at him on and off the field with that in mind. I can say that the LSU official visit, when he quote unquote canceled it and then took it, I think that was a little bit more of a misunderstanding than most people realize. This is a kid who lives on the foot of their campus and thought that he could take his official visit at any other point in the calendar year. And who could blame a 16-year-old for thinking that? But that visit really, I think, locked LSU into being the other choice between A&M and LSU. LSU has been riding a little bit of momentum since that official visit. I've not heard that they are overly confident. They are very aware of A&M and vice versa. I could see him commit to either one of these schools on July 10th. If it is A&M, which it very well could be, it would not surprise me, like I said, from an NIL perspective, from a defensive line coach perspective, from a relationships perspective, you might have to give the Aggies the edge. But the hometown factor is a very real factor for someone like Lamar. He's a very emotional young man. He is someone who, when his first offer from LSU came, once upon a time, They had been sitting at the top of his wish list ever since. The Aggies really gave him plenty to think about and are still giving him plenty to think about. So if it is A&M on the 10th, it will not be over. LSU will not just throw their swords down and give up. This is going to become a flip watch until December. If it is LSU, I don't expect it. It will be over. It will be done. But this has a lot of moving pieces to it. These two programs have battled over some of the best players in the state over the past couple of years. And this battle over Lamar is shaping up to be the closest and maybe the most for LSU fans to sweat over going into the 10th.
Forgive my ignorance on this question, but is he purely a defensive line prospect, or do you think there's an opportunity that he could play offensive line, or, as has been hinted, like maybe both?
I'll say this. I've always thought that Lamar should be an offensive lineman, from position value and his athletic traits and skill set is off the charts. But after getting more research, seeing what he looks like as a defensive lineman, seeing his body shape and form and the work that he's done in the off season, he's actually just an absolute unicorn. I think that he could play defensive line at one of the highest levels in the country. Obviously, A&M agrees that he is the number one defensive lineman in the country right now, given his athleticism. But I know that schools like LSU and others think that not only can he play defensive line, but he would be a potential day one starter on the offensive line as an interior offensive lineman. They also get paid right now in the NFL, so I don't think that's a most terrible route. And if you're LSU, you know that you've recruited him at both positions. You can either develop along the defensive line or compete for playing time on the offensive line right away. I think that plays to the fact that if he's not sure about his position versatility, he has the options in Baton Rouge, where that might not be the case as much in College Station. But in terms of the skill set, I don't know. I can't remember a player of Lamar's caliber that could do either position at such a high level, and that schools around the country almost unanimously agree with the fact that this guy is a dude on defense or offense, which is just unheard of.
He's Sam Spiegelman, Rivals and On 3. We appreciate the time. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll check in throughout the summer.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Hunt.
That is Sam Spiegelman. One thing that's interesting is when you talk about managing the money, what your professional organization has to spend, and when they miss out on a free agent, like what that free agent signed for. So it's very easy to analyze. Like I can analyze, like, why didn't the Cubs get Juan Soto? Why did the Cubs get Dansby Swanson and not Trey Turner? Like, because I know what the terms are. With these recruiting battles, you don't know who's offering what. So you can't really analyze, like, what the evaluation is or why a player picked X or Y. It's just, you just find the result. It's a results-oriented game. And so in that way, it's a little bit interesting because you just can't know what Arkansas offered J.J. Bush, what LSU valued J.J. Bush at, what they offered, and why J.J. Bush picked Arkansas over LSU. That would be an interesting thing to go over, but we don't get the information. We just say, oh, he picked Arkansas. And, it's an interesting world that we live in, that in the professional ranks, we get all the details. In the college ranks, we just get none. And you just see the outcome and you talk about what it is, and you just got to manage the roster and move forward. So it's easy for an LSU fan to go, Arkansas just paid him more, and LSU didn't really value him that high, and that's why they missed out. Maybe the offers were comparable. Like, who knows? We don't know. But thanks to Sam for checking in. We're going to be certainly on Lamar Brown watch all week long next week after this 4th of July holiday. So check him out and all his stuff on Rivals and, of course, on 3 as well. All right, a lot of comparisons to Dylan Cruz for Derek Curiel. He won D1 Baseball's National Freshman of the Year yesterday. I want to talk about the comparison between the two and whether I see it as apt or not. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every single model on the line is an IHA top safety pick. All of them. Entry level, high end, sedan, SUV, everything in between. IHA top safety pick. And some of them are top safety picks plus. So when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis that you're behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. They do not skimp. They do not cut corners on safety. So yes, it's stylish, it's sleek, it's comfortable, it drives phenomenally well. Yes, the staff at Genesis of Baton Rouge is first rate, and the facility is unbelievable. There are perks that come with it, but also at its foundation, safety is one of their most important pillars. And when you're searching for a new vehicle for your family to ride around in, obviously safety is going to be top of mind. Consider Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them, airline at Pico, across the street from Women's Hospital. Or check out that inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Derek Curiel, D1 Baseball's National Freshman of the Year. He was given that award yesterday. He did not win SEC Freshman of the Year. Dylan Volantis from Texas did that, but I think once Texas bowed out in the regional and Curiel lit it up in the Super Zane in Omaha, that really pushed him over the edge there nationally as far as freshmen go. He had a sensational season this year. Hit 345 on the season, got on base at a 470 clip. Was just awesome for LSU start to finish and certainly deserves that honor. And as Curiel continued to roll in the season, and it started in the fall. We told you about him in the fall. He was LSU's leading hitter in the fall. And when Musso and I jumped on this exact set and did our preseason YouTube video that we always do, we talked about, like, look, Curiel's going to jump in the lineup. He'll be in there for 2 years every day, and then he'll move on. Like, that's kind of what you just knew this was coming. And it was everything you thought it was going to be as a freshman. He was sensational. And as that was happening, people were like, well, he's kind of like Cruz. He's the next Dylan Cruz. And I pushed back on that a little bit because I watched Dylan Cruz his freshman year, and I came on and said on the 2022 video that Musso and I did, the first season preview we ever did, I said after Cruz's freshman year, I said he could be the best player that's ever played at LSU. And I felt that after watching him play his freshman year. And I didn't necessarily feel that way about watching Derek Curiel in his freshman year. And I can't tell you that's the right way to think about it or the wrong way to think about it. It's just the way that I felt about it. I felt like Dylan Cruz was just like something I'd never really seen before as a freshman. And Curiel just felt like a phenomenal player. He felt more like Alex Bregman to me than Dylan Cruz. That was just no stats, just what my eyes are saying, watching every at-bat. I'm not diminishing Cruz at all. I just compared him to Alex Bregman. And if you heard me at all on the radio broadcast up in Omaha, like when he got that hit against Arkansas driving that insurance run off that freshman left-hander that no one had scored on, and I just said, I just can't tell you how good a hitter this kid is. I don't mean to denigrate him at all by saying that it just didn't feel Dylan Cruz-like to me. I mean to tell you he was sensational. Cruz is just in a category by himself to me. But I thought, okay, today I'll just go through and give you the numbers from their freshman year. I'm telling you what it's like when I'm watching, what my eyeballs are telling me. Let's just look at the numbers. And Curiel played 68 games. Cruz played 63 as a freshman. That Cruz team went to Knoxville and got beaten the Supers and Pulmonaries last year. But interestingly enough, they tied in number of hits on the season. They both got exactly 89 hits in their freshman campaign. Cruz did it in just 5 fewer games, but Cruz hit 362. Curiel hit 345. Curiel had more doubles, 20-16. Cruz, as you would imagine, more home runs, 18-7. Curiel walked way more, which is a very, very important statistic, especially where Curiel was hitting in the lineup, which is first. He walked 53 times to Cruz's 39, and his on-base percentage because of that was significantly higher. Curiel got on base as a freshman in the SEC at a 470 clip. That beat Cruz's 453. But Cruz significantly better in slugging by 150 points, 519 to 633. And Cruz actually, this surprised me a little bit. And I know that there is a 5-game disparity, but Cruz struck out 44 times to Curiel's 56. So the big difference is the power. Cruz hit 18 home runs to Curiel's 7, even though it was in fewer at-bats. So the slugging percentage reflected that, and that's the biggest differentiator between the two players, in my opinion. Cruz just showed up here ready to hit 18 to 23 home runs every year, and I don't think Derek Curiel is going to hit 18 home runs next year as a sophomore. We know that Derek Curiel is in college because he was not a power hitter at the high school level. He looked like a potential power hitter when he was a freshman. He was long, lanky. He was already a quote-unquote famous prospect. He was a Team USA player. He was one of the best freshmen, if not the best freshman in the country. There were outlets that said he was the number 1 player in his age group nationwide. But he never grew into his frame. We had Derek on this show when he announced that he was pulling out of the draft. And I said, why? And he said, well, I just haven't gotten into my man body yet. I'm just a skinny high schooler. And I think that I can change that at LSU. And make no mistake, he's already put on weight, and he's going to add more weight between now and February of next year, and certainly July of next year when his draft day comes. But Cruz was already ready to hit home runs. Cruz got to college because Cruz struck out too much his senior year. And there was the COVID deal, and it was weird, and it was just a number of events that broke in LSU's way to get Cruz to Baton Rouge as opposed to being a first-round pick. But I don't think Curiel in his 19, 20, 21-year-old body is going to be an 18 to 23 home run hitter in the college game. To me, he's closer to Bregman, Antoine Duplantis in terms of his hitting approach than he is Cruz. And Duplantis had more hits than anybody ever at LSU. He hit from the day he started, and Bregman was not a power hitter at LSU. He grew into power in his professional years, and someone will take Derek Curiel in the first round next year because they think when he's 25 years old, he will hit some home runs. but I don't know if that's coming right now. So all this is to say, Curiel is phenomenal. He's a great player. I'm so happy that when they play the first game of next season in the box, he's going to be hitting leadoff, and he's going to be in there every day, and he's going to be playing left field or probably center field, and I'm thrilled to have him. I don't know that I'm in a position right now to put him in Dylan Cruz's category because I believe more so than Todd Walker or Eddie Furness or name your player, Brad Cressy, Alex Bregman, I think Dylan Cruz is the best position player that's ever put on the spikes in purple and gold at Baton Rouge. That is my opinion, and I think Derek Curiel is going to struggle to get to that point. But man, can he hit. He is just incredible swinging the bat. It's just so mature, so clutch. I think about the moments he had. I mentioned the swing against Arkansas. Big hit in the championship game right back up the middle in a huge spot to drive in 2 runs and really give LSU a cushion against Coastal. I think about the Jared Jones walk-off. We don't get to that point if Curiel with 2 outs and 2 strikes doesn't pull one through the right side for a game-tying hit. He just was clutch. He was composed. He was everything you can be as a freshman. He just doesn't quite hit for the pop that Dylan Cruz did, and that's the one detraction from him. But well-deserved honor. And I was thinking about this earlier. Jay Johnson has been at LSU for 4 seasons. He has coached 4 National Freshman of the Year. And you're thinking, wait a second. Well, they didn't all win them here. But Jacob Berry and Cruz tied for National Freshman of the Year, and they played here. And Tommy White was the National Freshman of the Year and came to Baton Rouge. And now Curiel has won the award here. 4 times Jay Johnson has coached the National Freshman of the Year later in their career at LSU. That is a really cool deal, and that is something to put as a feather in your cap because LSU is going to continue to get in these recruiting wars with Arkansas, with Texas A&M, and certainly with Tennessee. And sometimes the money is going to win out elsewhere, and sometimes the money is going to win out in Baton Rouge. It has. But you have to have some things around the money as well. And LSU's ability to develop the pitching they've got, to develop the hitting they've got, to put people on a national stage, to win national awards, that's going to continue to feed this program with the major league talent that Jay Johnson says you have to win the College World Series. You cannot win in Omaha if you don't have big leaguers. And I don't think Coastal had big leaders in their lineup, maybe the leadoff guy, the catcher Bodine, but they definitely did in the rotation. And I think their top 2 guys are probably going to pitch in the big league. Fluky looked incredible in that game, and then Morrison, LSU banged around a little bit, but he's probably going to be a big leaguer. You cannot win up there without him. And Derek Curiel certainly is one. Derek Cruz already is one. Dylan Cruz already is one. And the point of this segment, again, not to denigrate Curiel at all, but to say, wow, awesome work, just not ready to put you in the category with 3. Because I think that number goes up in the rafters in pretty short order. It needs to, at least in my opinion. It needs to go up there with McDonald and Walker, Furness, Cruz needs to be up there. And I think it will be at some point. So awesome work for Derek Curiel, well-deserved. And I think D1 Baseball got that one right, naming him the National Freshman of the Year. All right, when we come back, we talked about uniform patches to start the show. There's another alternate uniform coming. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, closet space is a big deal, and sometimes you don't have enough of it. And if you don't, you may need a new closet. And David Vaughn and his team are licensed contractors. They can help build you a new closet. But another thing that they do is they take your existing closet and just maximize the space. It's less invasive, less intense, can be very cost-effective to make sure that whatever you have in your closet, there's room for it, and there's a dedicated space for it. That's a simple thing that David Duvall and his team can do. They've got the ability to put in all the cubbies, mirrors, and racks. You've got suitcases or lots of suits, or you got a boatload of shoes. No matter what you have, you start with a questionnaire in their free consultation, and then David gets a feel for what it is that you have. And once he gets started, he's going to do it right the first time and leave that competition behind. I promise you he's not going to be coming back after they finish the job 6 months later because something screwed up. That's not the way they operate at One Bath and Closets. They get it right the first time and leave the competition behind. David's been doing this for 30 years. Don't just call the handyman down the street. Go with someone who's licensed, bonded, insured, has 3 decades of experience. He can help you in the bathroom with your closet. It's David Vaughn, One Bath and Closets. Check him out online, onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. My guy Sean, as I told you earlier in the show, stopped by today. My freezer is full. We got the ground beef, we got ribeyes, we got the fillets, we got the skirt steaks. That's going to be Fajita City. And it's all prime. All in the top 1% nationwide. Like, look, when you go buy something that you invest a lot of money in, whether it's a ring or a house or a car, like you go and look at it, right? And if you're thinking, well, you can't compare beef to that, think about what you spend on beef over the course of time. That's a pretty substantial chunk of change. Wouldn't you want to buy the best quality? Wouldn't you want to not have to question where it came from or how it was raised? Sean's got the farm right there. You can go visit. They're never going to use steroids. They're never going to improperly use antibiotics. They're going to raise those animals on grass, finish them on grain, dry age, 35, 45 days. And when you take that meat home, you're rest assured that you know where it was raised, you know it's the DNA of one animal, and it's going to be in the top 1% of the beef that you can buy anywhere in America. All of it's prime. No select, no choice, it's prime. If you care about your beef and you want to make sure that you don't have to ask questions about your beef and you're getting some of the highest quality beef anywhere you can find, how about Segura Farms? You can call my guy Sean Segura. He'd be happy to have you come up and check out the farm. Look at the beef you're going to buy. You can give him a call right here at this number, 225-719-1723. 225-719-1723. He's an awesome guy, passionate about what he does. And he hooked the Palmers up earlier today with some awesome beef. Can't wait to get that stuff on the grill this weekend. A couple of steaks already thawing out. It's the 4th weekend. It's the summertime. It's time to get beef on the grill. Call Sean Segura at Segura Farms. All right, little report that came out yesterday that the New Orleans Saints are looking to introduce some different alternate uniforms. We'll see them before training camp, which is here in a couple of weeks. Now, y'all know my feeling on alternate uniforms. For the most part, I don't like them at all. But I will tell you this. The Saints may have the best alternate uniforms in sports. You look at those white color rush uniforms, they work. You look at the throwbacks that they wear with the black, they've got those gold stripes. I wish the helmet and the uniform matched better, but it's a great look. Color rush, it works great. And I don't want to mess with that. I think the Saints look really good most of the time. I don't love the black pants that they wear. I think they wear them a little bit too much. I like the gold pants more. It's just a more classic look. But the Saints have a great uniform. Their brand is very obvious. When you turn on the TV and you see an NFL game, you can tell that's the Saints. And I'm curious what they're going to do to come up with the new style of an alternate. You only wear them twice a year. Generally speaking, NFL teams are going to be in their standard uniforms, but they want to sell uniforms. They want to sell jerseys, so they've got to freshen it up from time to time. And I just think the Saints have one of the best alternate looks in the sport. So I reserve judgment until July 22nd when the team announces this, but they threw out some photos that are a little bit teasing, and maybe this is because they were 0-4 in the new helmets over the last 2 years. We'll see. But Beck, I mean, you're a Saints guy. Are you anxious about this? Do you not care at all? How do you feel about the alternates they wear? Like, where are we on the Saints and their alternate threads?
Well, it was just annoying how you can only have a certain amount of helmets. So whenever the Saints would wear their throwbacks or their alternate uniforms, they had still to wear the other helmet, so it just didn't go together.
Right.
So in this case, I don't know, man. Do
you like the white color rushes?
I do. I do like them.
Those are sick.
Yes, those are really good. I really like those. So I'm not I'm a little indifferent towards it, but I think the Saints do have a really good uniform, and just being able to do the alternates and the helmets, like I like it.
The NFL is the one professional league that hasn't embraced the City Connect deal.
Yeah.
MLB went headfirst into it, and the NBA is just
they have like
lost
5
its
uniforms.
way. I've said this a bunch of times. I turn on an NBA game, like when I used to go to Pluckers for Sports Trivia and it was NBA season, and there'd be like 3 games on, I couldn't even tell who's playing because the color coordination has just been completely thrown out the window.
It is.
You never know what color anybody's wearing. And so that was a little much for me, and I think the color rush uniforms from major leagues are terrible because they all wear colored pants, which I think is terrible. But the NFL hasn't done that for some reason. This is kind of the moderated adaptation of that, and I dig it. If you skew towards classic, I will generally jump on board. It's when you get super modern and edgy, I kind of look at it and go, I don't think so. I don't need the Celtics wearing black uniforms.
No.
That's just, the Celtics are green. They are white. I don't need the Lakers in black uniforms.
No.
Like, you know what? If the Magic want to do something screwy, it's the Magic. But like this classic franchise.
It's the history, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's the summertime. It's time to talk about, uniforms and the like. And look, I will have my eyes open on July 22nd when these come, and I think Cassie over there is really hoping that I hate them and they look terrible, that she can put me on TikTok looking like an idiot. That's really the entire goal of this segment.
That's what we need.
You're the uniform guy on TikTok.
I am, and so we'll see. What that. I won't know how many views I get on TikTok because I don't have an account, but I hope it's
okay.
a lot.
It's going to be a lot.
All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on this Thursday. If you're traveling for the 4th of July, heading out to the lake, heading over to the beach, whatever the case may be, appreciate you hanging out with us here. If you're just trying to get through the workday to get the day off tomorrow, we'll get you there. We got you for another hour here in Musso. We'll get you home on after further review. So the dog days of summer, but we're chugging right through it. We started the show today talking about the uniform patch for LSU. Sam Spiegelman talked recruiting. If you want to catch that segment on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast, you can catch it, Hunt on LSU. We took a look back at yesterday's commitments and forecasted what he's hearing about Lamar Brown. Talked a little Dylan Cruz and Derek Curiel. Still got a lot to do in the second hour as well. Ross Jackson's got an awesome piece up on the Saints offense spreading the ball around. I want to talk about LSU's freshman pitchers from this past year, and there's an SEC Network takeover happening tomorrow. I've got thoughts on that as well. We'll pause for national headlines and Sports Center. We'll come back with our last hour of the week on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Guardians right-hander Luis Ortiz under investigation by Major League Baseball after a betting integrity firm flagged a pair of his pitches that had received unusual gambling activity, one on June 15th, one on June 27th. Ortiz placed on non-disciplinary leave through July 17th. Lakers filled their most glaring need this NBA offseason, agreed on a deal with center DeAndre Ayton. Meantime, speculation continues about what LeBron James will do next. He opted into the final year of his contract. His agent, though, told ESPN LeBron wants to compete for a championship and will closely monitor what LA does this summer. Landscape writer David Dennis Jr.
The Lakers are not concerned about LeBron. The Lakers are concerned about Luka Doncic. This is all about Luka and what's right for him. Of course, LeBron is a secondary piece to that organization. They want him there and all that stuff. But this is all about making moves for Luka Doncic. And LeBron James, for him, this is foreign territory. He's never been as disposable or expendable as he is right now with the Lakers.
David Dennis Jr. on First Take.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon from Unsportsmanlike. I just wanted to wish all of our loyal listeners a happy 4th of July. And thank you for joining us each and every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
All right, let's rock and roll. One more hour of the Hunt Palmer Show this week. We are out tomorrow for the 4th holiday. I'll be back in action next week. Next week, just very plainly, is one of the tougher weeks to do of the year. Baseball transfer portal's really cooled off. The draft's still a week away. Media day's still a week away. You're just kind of trying to find some news here and there. But we'll get through it. Today, we got plenty to talk about. I want to talk about the 4 big freshman pitchers from LSU in the next segment. Kason Evans, Maverick Rizzi, William Schmidt, Cooper Williams, those 4 guys, kind of what I see for them next year. We'll do that coming up in 15 minutes. And then incredible piece by Ross Jackson on LouisianaSports.net about Kellen Moore's offense and how the ball gets spread and what that may mean for this iteration of the Saints team. And so we'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. But, Beck, are you going to watch the hot dog eating contest tomorrow?
I probably will. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to my wife's family has a camp in Mississippi, so we'll go there. And there's not a whole lot to do there. It's a deer camp. So in the summer you can go fishing or just hang out. So I'll probably be watching it.
All right. Well, I have another thing for you to watch.
Okay.
LSU's takeover of the SEC network is tomorrow, 24 hours, starting at 11 o'clock tonight. And I wanted to kind of briefly run down memory lane on the games that they've chosen to show. They got to spread the wealth around from the different sports, and all of it is this past year. So they're not going to show you the earthquake game or Florida 97 or Brad Cressy getting the game-winning hit in the 2000 World Series. Everything's from this past year. It'll start at 11 o'clock tonight, and it'll be the football game against South Carolina. That game is going to just get lost in the annals, I think, because nothing of consequence happened for LSU this past year. And it was early in the season, and it's South Carolina. It's not Florida or Auburn or one of the Alabama storybook games. What a crazy game.
Yes.
I mean, LSU falls behind, and they can't stop Lenore Sellers, who no one had ever heard of at that point. And you got Rocket Sanders ripping off touchdown runs, and then you got Lenore Sellers ripping off touchdown runs. And then LSU's offense kind of found its gear, and Nussmeier started slinging around. And then Caden Durham, out of nowhere, he hadn't really played the first month, is just ripping off runs all over South Carolina. And they chip back, and what?
Lenore Sellers got hurt.
He did get hurt. I was coming up on that.
Okay.
LSU got back into the game, and then Sellers got hurt, and then they brought in, it was Ashford?
Yes,
it was Robbie Ashford. Oh, my
yeah.
heavens. He was awful.
Really bad.
He's turning the ball over. And then Nussmeier turns the ball over. Then you get the blocking penalty, which I didn't even think was a penalty, on Nussmeier that takes a touchdown off the board. The game was nuts. That was the first game that we had done as the pregame show. We were over at the casino, And I vividly remember watching it. It started at 11 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was just a wild scene. And that game, again, is just going to get lost forever until we, I guess, talk about it before the South Carolina game this year.
Yeah.
But a crazy game that is worth watching if you're up at midnight tonight and want to check that out. The 2 o'clock game, really no one's ever going to remember. At 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, no one will remember this except me because I wrote the story for LouisianaSports.net. It's the basketball game at Oklahoma this year.
Oh, I remember it.
And Jeremiah Fears is on that team, and they ended up making the tournament. And LSU was just getting beat. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Cam Carter was just like, all right, I'm just going to do like 1 minute's worth of Michael Jordan Space Jam stuff. And just hit threes and stole the ball and got 3-point plays. And he scored like 8 points in 20
Oklahoma
seconds.
completely choked down.
I mean, they just completely peed down their leg. LSU was just not good. They're on the road, and for whatever reason, I mean, at this point in the season, most LSU fans have just checked out.
Yes.
I would venture to guess that 60% of the LSU fans had just checked out on basketball completely and weren't even watching. I remember texting my group text after this happened, and Cam Carter just won the game by himself. Like, y'all weren't watching this, I'm sure, but that was one of the most unbelievable individual efforts I've ever seen from an LSU basketball player. It was three-pointer, steal, get the ball back to Cam, drive in, 3-point play. Then he got fouled again, made free throws, and they win the game. It was remarkable what he did in 25 seconds of game action. And so, again, if you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can check that out on the SEC Network. Then it comes to women's basketball against Stanford, and then you've got 6 a.m. baseball against Arkansas in the College World Series. That is one that we'll remember forever. In my game story for LouisianaSports.net, I just said, then came a sequence that they'll talk about in Louisiana living rooms for decades to come. And as we've separated ourselves from the ninth inning comeback for LSU and everything that happened there, from the double play ball to the line drive to left field to Jones's ball off Kojal's glove, like the whole thing. I listen to a lot of podcasts that cover opposing teams. I find it interesting, and I think it's helpful for me to do my job to help relay information to you about other teams in the league and teams that LSU is going to play. And the narrative around that game in Arkansas was like, this program is cursed and they choked. And the narrative around LSU there, and I was up at the Ameristar and did the segment on the show, like, this is what LSU does and this is what Arkansas does, and LSU makes big plays when they have to. And Milam's ball was just a ground ball to short. Now, Hernandez hit the ball very hard. But if LSU's left fielder made that play in that spot, I would not think at all to give the Arkansas hitter any credit. I would say that the left fielder has to catch the ball. He's in college. And we're just talking about a great comeback. And, like, the more we get separated from that game, I think about the Arkansas side of it more than the LSU side of it. And clearly, trust me, I'm not running to put an asterisk on the Intimidator in February. I'm not at all. But I do think that considering it from the other side is important. Like, Beck, would you use the word choke for Arkansas in that game?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure a lot of LSU fans would. But, man, that is 2 plays that are very hard to compartmentalize. And then I give Jared Jones a bucket full of credit for staying on that slider that he saw from Jimenez and lining it off Kojal's glove. And that's not a play that Kojal's going to make ever. Just tipped off his glove. It was a great jump to get there. I did hear an Arkansas guy say he mistimed his jump. That's not true.
No way. That would have been an absurd play.
Yes. But the play in left field and Aloy not throwing the ball to second base are just very difficult.
Those are pretty routine plays any other time than that.
And I think Davalon slipped, which is hard. And Aloy just did what he thought was safe. And we talked to Joe Healy about it after that. Like, he echoed that. And I kind of thought that at the press box. I will say, in the press box, I'm sitting there, I'm covering the game, I'm not on the radio call. And when he threw the ball to third base, it did I was like, whoa. I was surprised to see it. But it didn't cost them until it cost them. And that was a tough look for Arkansas. It really was. Credit to LSU for battling and for hitting the ball hard a couple times, but that was just a tough look for Arkansas. That is at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Women's hoops against Tennessee at 9 o'clock. That was a really classic game. between the Lady Vols and LSU. 11 a.m. This is when you kind of get things together. Maybe you're coming in from the pool for some lunch or something. 11 a.m., the football game against Ole Miss. And that one was incredible. That was an incredible football game. I remember watching in that game the first quarter and a half, watching that game thinking Ole Miss is significantly better. Like, I thought they covered better. I thought that they looked more crisp on offense. Kiffin went for a couple of fourth downs that really cost them, and that stalled their momentum and kept LSU within striking distance. And then LSU made some real plays late in the game. The interception that Zy Alexander made was a great play, and then Nussmeier's throws down the stretch were his signature moment to this point is that Ole Miss comeback. And I think that's the point where you as an LSU fan probably looked at this and went, okay, this is really a guy we can win with. And I think that some of the things he did that night in Tiger Stadium will give you confidence going to Clemson. Like, some of the things, that was the first time you could look at it and go, okay. Because how much do you care about the bowl game against Wisconsin? And how much do you care about the USC game? That game was awesome. And that Ole Miss team was really good. And the fact that they lost to Kentucky blows my mind. But that game in Tiger Stadium was incredible. And it was one of those nights in Tiger Stadium where it is actually at its best. And I remember watching a YouTube video of this Virginia Tech couple that goes to a different stadium every year just to kind of see it. And they did like an hour and 10 minutes on their trip to Baton Rouge and Tiger Stadium. And they were just effusive in their praise of how awesome Tiger Stadium is. And for like us, like, I see Tiger Stadium when it's not at its best a lot of times a year, most of the time. But sometimes it's at its best. And when it is, like it was that night against Ole Miss, it's really, really something special. Softball against Texas is the next game. Men's basketball against Arkansas, 4 o'clock. I'll be honest, I know they won the game. I know it was in the PMAC. I know that it was pretty close late. I don't remember anything about that game. I don't know what makes that one noteworthy. I'd throw the Tennessee Jared Jones walk-off in place of men's basketball against Arkansas in the PMAC. Like, I remember Calipari coming in there with Arkansas. It was early in conference play. LSU got the win. Arkansas was winless in the league at that point. That game does not really register anything for me. SEC Gymnastics Championship, Jay Clark's team won that. That's at 6 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock to finish it off, as you would expect, LSU's national championship win over Coastal Carolina. I'm sure that'll be game 2, which was just a great game that LSU played. They played awesome. I thought Ianson threw it great. I thought Shores was electric. And I thought the early at-bats off of Morrison to hit the low-line drives the way they did. Milam was great. Brown was great. Curiel was great. They just played a really good game of baseball. And the last thing I'll say about that game, and I've said this on the radio before, you can probably, in your mind, play the last out or the last swing of all the national championships, the fly ball to right field, Doug Thompson's last pitch, of course, Warren Morrison, Brad Cressy, Lewis Coleman's last pitch, obviously, Guidry's last pitch as well. But this one is sweet because that double play was awesome looking. And Dickinson catches it, flips to Milam, and completes the double play on. You get Jared Jones involved there. You get Denny Dickinson making the play with the hamate bone story that we now know. And Milam was just so incredible in the postseason. Those guys' defense was awesome all year. It was a big hallmark of why that team was as good as it was. And to see the double play being the clincher, I think is a cool thing that'll be on all the highlight reels from now and till forever. That team it exemplified that team, I thought. So is there one of those games that I just mentioned, Beck, that stands out that you would like to take another look at?
I don't think so. I mean, I would.
For me, it's the South Carolina football game.
Yeah.
Because that's action start to finish. Like, you could sit through the men's basketball game against Oklahoma.
You just want to watch the last.
You need to watch the last 2 minutes. That's the whole thing is the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Football against Ole Miss was wild. I mean, I could definitely park it in front of that. And the baseball game against Arkansas, again, like the meat of that is the 8th and 9th. The Jones homer, the big swings off of Shores that plated the runs, Myers getting the strikeout, and then the craziness that happened in the bottom half. But I think the South Carolina football game is the one that if you said you got to watch one of these, I might buckle in and watch that one again. Because, again, everything from the Ole Miss game and from all the baseball things is so fresh in my mind. The South Carolina thing, I'm sure I would watch it at some point and be like, forgot that happened. But that game was absolutely nuts. So it's an SEC network takeover for LSU coming up starting at 11 o'clock tonight. If you just flip on the SEC network at any point from 11 p.m. to 11 p.m., which is, I guess, midnight in the Eastern time zone, so it makes sense. You'll see LSU doing something really cool on your TV screen. So check that out instead of the hot dog eating competition, if you must. All right, when we come back, let's talk some LSU baseball pitching. 4 stud freshman pitchers from this past year. What do I think for this year? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Segura Farms.
right, Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Appreciate them for making our Thursday shows possible. I want to talk about LSU's freshman pitchers from this past season. And what I did for this exercise was I just went to the SEC stats. What'd you do against the Southeastern Conference? Because while I do value some of the outings in the non-conference, because look at what Cade Anderson did in the non-conference last year, and then what he did in conference. You do need to take some steps. Very rarely are guys just ready to jump in and go get it in the SEC. Alex Lang showed up ready to go. He went 13-0. But Aaron Nola wasn't a weekend starter until late in his freshman season. Kevin Gausman didn't really hit his stride as a dominant pitcher until late in his freshman season. He started on the weekend. It was that team that had the rotation. It was all freshmen. It was McCune, Gausman, and Eads. But sometimes it takes some time. And you look at the statistics, Kason Evans was just ready to go. He jumped into SEC play. He made 10 appearances. He threw 31 and a third innings, and his SEC ERA was 2.3. It was the best on the team. His ERA in league games was better than Ianson or Cowan or Anderson. And that's the guy that you're going to hand the ball to at the top of the rotation next year, very likely. And so that gives you a ton of confidence because he's got 30. This is not a small sample size. 31 and a third innings is plenty of work. And though most of it was in relief, he only started 3 games and 2 of those starts didn't go very well. He's ready to go. But what about the other guys? And it's a minuscule sample size. But they've got to take some steps here. I want to talk about William Schmidt first. I've got incredibly high hopes for William Schmidt still because he's got a great frame. He's got a huge arm. His fastball velocity as a freshman was around 94 miles an hour consistently. And his breaking ball is a hammer. And you saw glimpses of that in some midweek action. The Nichols game, he was fantastic. And that's a glimpse into what could be in the future. But some of the numbers here are very jarring in the league outings, which there were 5 of them. But it's one metric that is so skewed. Beck, let me just give you a guess. He made 5 appearances. He threw 2 SEC innings. What would you say would be a big walk total for 2 SEC innings?
I would say anything more than 2.
Okay, well, he had 11.
That's a lot.
11 walks in 2 innings. And so this is not a guy who SEC hitters had solved. This is not a guy that SEC hitters were knocking all over the place. This is a guy who, for whatever reason, got on the mound in league games and could not execute pitches. And that's something that Nate Yeske and Jay Johnson and Jamie Tutko will have to evaluate with their player. Did he try too hard to hit corners? Emotionally, was he too fired up or too nervous or too anxious? Were his mechanics different? It's just something you're going to have to evaluate because that's not like, oh, let's get the walks down a little bit. That's like, oh my gosh, 11 walks in 2 innings? He walked 11 guys and got 6 out. That's something that they've got to address because the stuff is fine. You can look at the spin rates. You can look at the shape of the pitches. You can look at the radar gun. None of that is concerning. In fact, it's very encouraging. You can't walk 11 guys in 5 appearances over 2 innings of work. And Maverick Rizzi had a little bit of the same issue because he threw 9 SEC innings and walked 9. Now, he gave up 12 hits in a .330 batting average, so there got to be some strides made there. But Maverick Rizzi very clearly looks to me to be a big bullpen piece for LSU in the future. When I think about starters for LSU next year, I think about Kason Evans. I think about Zach Cowan. I think about Cooper Williams. I think about Jaden Newt. I think about William Schmidt. These are the guys I think about as potential starters. When I think about bullpen guys, Rizzi comes to mind first because you look at when he was good, like when he came in that regional game oh my goodness, like just throwing BBs. And that's really what you're looking for when you evaluate a freshman. Like, are they showing you flashes of what they could be? And when you see that, like you did with a couple times with Schmidt and like you did actually more times with Rizzi, then you just have to work towards that. You don't have to work towards being something you've never seen and hoping that it exists. You're not talking about like a ceiling that you're hoping to reach. You're looking at a very attainable, like this is how he is sometimes. How do we get him to be that more? And it usually just comes with mound time. A lot of times freshman pitchers don't throw in the summer. They've usually worked a pretty big workload or they've done something that they've never done before. You want to give them time off, but then you come back in the fall and you ramp it back up and you come back in January and you make sure they're ready to go as the leaders of the staff as sophomores and then moving into their junior year. And Rizzi shows big-time stuff. He had 8 strikeouts in 9 SEC innings. 9 walks, too many. And then you move to Cooper Williams, whose stat line I gave you back last week when I talked about the whole team statistically speaking. I wrote a piece on it on LouisianaSports.net. But like Cooper Williams on the season pitched to an ERA that was quite tidy, 1.8. He only gave up 4 earned runs in 20 innings on the season, but I told you we were going to look at conference stats, so let's keep it locked on conference stats. Cooper Williams, just 4 1/3, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, an ERA of 2.08. Now, Cooper Williams is interesting, and he's a little bit of a different evaluation, and I talked about this when I did a statistically speaking piece back on Monday. But he doesn't flash the stuff that Rizzi and Schmidt and Evans do. But he's left-handed, and he's got a funky arm slot, and he just didn't really get hit hard all year. And he started to miss some bats late in the season. He was really good in that regional loss to Little Rock. The offense stunk, and the rest of the bullpen crumbled. But he was good. And his tiny sample size in SEC play was good. 7 strikeouts in 4 1/3, 2.08 ERA. That'll play all day. Batting average against of 235. Only walked 2. I think Cooper Williams has a real future at LSU. And maybe it's in the starting rotation. Maybe it's as a left-handed bullpen piece. But what he'll do is slide in with these left-handers that LSU has brought in. And we talked about them earlier in the week. But LSU has brought in reliever profile left-handers in the transfer portal. 3 of them. Now, Lockenmeyer might be a starter. They really like him. But you feel like with Smart, with Garcia, you've brought in 2 guys that profile as relievers. And maybe Cooper Williams can earn a rotation spot. Maybe he's a long relief guy. What if I told you Cooper Williams takes the Zach Cowan role from this past year? We know he can stretch out. He'll get you 7 outs and close a game. That's doable. I think he profiles as a starter, and I think they want him to be a starter. And I know that Jay Johnson wants at least one left-handed starter in his rotation, if he can do it. But Williams is very, very intriguing to me because of the effectiveness that he showed without the dynamic stuff. And maybe the stuff ticks up. We've seen a lot of guys develop in a big way at LSU with the resources that they have, with the pitching lab, and they can deal with the spin rates, and they got all those numbers, and they do all the plyometrics, and they increase flexibility, increase arm strength, and here comes the velocity. And you know that Cooper Williams is going to throw strikes at the very least. It's a guy that in his outings this year, if you're looking at season long, not just SEC, he threw 20 innings and walked 13, which is a little higher than you want, but it's nowhere near what you're looking at with Rizzi and Schmidt. If you tighten that up, which he did late in the season, didn't throw a lot of balls at all late in the season, that's a guy that I think you can really count on. And really, to me, how this freshman class of pitchers progresses to next year is one of the biggest indicators of what LSU will be in 2026. Because if Evans and Schmidt are big-time weekend starters, and Williams has a key role, and Rizzi locks down the back end of the bullpen, that is the nucleus of your pitching staff. We'll see what Kellen does, if he comes back or stays. We'll see what some of these portal guys can be, what Lockenmeyer is. But really, the nuts and bolts of this LSU pitching staff today, on the 3rd of July, we're looking at, 5, 6, 7 months until we're really in action. Today, those 4 guys are as important as any 4 on the roster moving into next year. Because I don't care how good Milam is and how good Curiel is and how good Brown is, how good Aaron Beatty becomes, what Dardar and brings. If you can't pitch it, you're toast. Ask Wes Johnson. They've hit, let me check the stats, 9 billion home runs the last 2 years, hadn't made Omaha because they can't pitch. You have to pitch it. And these 4 guys are vital to what LSU is going to do moving forward. And I got confidence in them. I think it's a good 4 guys to push off the dock with. But time will certainly tell with that group. All right, let's look at LSU baseball here. Let's take a look at a great piece from Ross Jackson on the New Orleans Saints when we come back. 30 minutes to go this week on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. How about 3 years complimentary valet maintenance? How about 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty? How about the best staff in the game? It's all part of the perks of being a Genesis driver. Stop by Airline at Pico. You'll see the facility. It's first class. Unbelievable ambiance in there, and the service matches it. Their brand ambassadors are never going to be pushy. They're not going to take advantage of you or upsell you. All the stereotypes that exist in auto dealership lots, they don't apply here. Go chat with one of their staff and get behind the wheel. The odds are that those of you who are listening to me right now have not been behind the wheel of a Genesis. It's just a newer line of vehicles. When it is time for you to get in the market for a car, I just cannot recommend enough dealing with the folks at Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you're looking for a new vehicle, you're probably going to be on Airline Highway anyway. Just make one stop over at Genesis, and you'll be glad you did. Chat with one of their brand ambassadors, get behind the wheel, and understand what it's like to be a Genesis driver. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find everything you need in terms of the lot. It's genesisofbatonrouge.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
It is summertime. I know those grills are firing up. Fillets, ribeyes, burgers, skirt steaks, flank steaks, chuck roasts. Get the best. Don't settle for choice or select just because you always have. Prime. Everything you get from Sagrera Farms is Prime. It's a hidden gem just north of Baton Rouge, 30 miles away. You can make a trip up to the farm, see exactly what it is that you're buying, and you can be promised incredible quality and consistency, because that's what the process at Sagrera Farms produces time and time and time again. Every single cow is on a 3-year journey. Raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged 35, 45 days. It's a different way to procure your beef. If you've always just gone down the street, grabbed a package, like, what are you buying? Do you know? Do you have any idea? I can promise you, no steroids will ever be used at Sagrera Farms. They'll never improperly use antibiotics. You're going to get dry-aged prime beef. You can fill your freezer with it, so whenever you're ready, throw some burgers on the grill. Whenever you're ready for a Sunday steak night, whenever you're ready to get that flank steak out for a great salad or some fajitas, eat the best in beef. Sagrera Farms has it. Top 1% nationwide, and it's right here in Baton Rouge. Sagrera Farms. Call my guy, Sean Sagrera. I'm going to give you his number here. Get your phone out. I talked to Sean this morning. He's fired up. They've got cows on the farm, and they're ready for you to come visit. So give Sean a call. It's at a 225 number, obviously. 719-1723. 719-1723. That's Sagrera Farms. All right, great piece that I just found really fascinating from Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net. And this was just diving into how Kellen Moore spreads the ball around on offense and what it may mean for the Saints. And what he found in going back to the 2020 Cowboys, 2021 Cowboys, 2022 Cowboys, 2023 Chargers, 2024 Eagles. So you're talking about 5 years, 3 stops. The consistency with which Kellen Moore gets his position groups involved is really jarring. You look at the running backs in terms of receptions. Every year, they were between 15% and 18% of the target shares. Every year. That's right on a razor's edge, 15 to 18%. There wasn't a single outlier. You look at the tight end. Every single year, between 17 and 23%. In 2021, 20%. 2023, 21%. 2024, 20%. That's 3 different teams. Cowboys in 2021, 20% of the targets tight end. Chargers in 2023, 21% of the target shares tight end. Eagles last year, 20%. 3 different teams, 3 different quarterbacks. Right there, consistently. And then every single year, wide receivers between 60 and 64%. So one thing is that every group is consistently in the same range, and the other is that it is spread. You didn't have any year where the wide receivers were targeted 80% of the time. You didn't have any year where there were just a boatload of checkdowns and the running backs got 30% of the targets. It's just a very structured, predictable, and efficient offense that has run in multiple different stops. So the question is, does the personnel at New Orleans dictate a change? Because Jalen Hurts is not the same as Justin Herbert, is not the same as Dak Prescott. And you've now got a rookie quarterback in Tyler Shook. And Alvin Kamara has been a large piece to the Saints passing game since he showed up. Every year since 2020 in New Orleans, the backs have seen at least 20% of the targets. That would be more than any stop in Kellen Moore's young career calling plays. Does that Alvin Kamara effect, as Ross termed it, skew the numbers. And I'm curious to see just how much Kellen Moore can replicate his success with veteran quarterbacks at other stops with a rookie quarterback at this stop. Because while we're certainly evaluating Tyler Shough very closely, and I've told you time and time and time again that I want to see this younger, cheaper roster emerge, and you've got to get 4 starters from this draft class, and Shough's got to hit, and you've got to move on from the contracts of Cam Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu, and you've got Ramczyk out of the way, and like I talk to you about the players all the time. We are evaluating Kellen Moore here because you got to make sure you got that right too. I think it's more difficult to tell in year one if you've got that right when you got a rookie quarterback under center. But if he can replicate a lot of the things from a target share, a yardage, and a points production with a rookie quarterback in this Saints offense, which I believe is a little bit limited on weapons. I don't believe your wide receiving core is elite. I don't believe your tight end group is elite. I believe your running back room is shallow and has an aging player in it. Like, I don't think the Saints offense is elite from a player perspective. But if Kellen Moore can put similar numbers up with this group, you've got something. And I think that it's likely to me that Alvin Kamara and the running back group takes a higher share than what we saw in Dallas, Los Angeles, and in Philly, which was 15 to 18%. I think it's probably north of 20, 21, 22, 25%. Because, like, you're going to have a rookie quarterback. He's going to want to get the ball out of his hands. You're going to want to get the ball to Kamara, and it just makes too much sense. But what you don't want to see is the wide receiver share dip too low, because it's been remarkably consistent between 60 and 64%. And if you don't target the wide receivers, you don't have as good a chance to make big plays. And in the NFL, you have to make big plays. And if you've got a quarterback that's afraid to make big plays because he's afraid to make mistakes, and he just checks it down to the running back too much, and he just deals with the tight end too much, then you've got a guy that's got training wheels on and is not developing. So these numbers, to me, are very, very fascinating. And I think everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone. I feel like most understand that the Saints this year are up against it with a first-year head coach and a first-year quarterback. And I don't think the grading curve is going to be too harsh. I think everybody understands there are going to be some Sundays that probably don't go so hot. But if, especially by November and December, things start to look a little bit better and these percentages bear themselves out with this cast of characters, the same as it did with the Cowboys when you had elite level skill talent, let's be honest, and Philly, where you certainly had elite level skill talent last year, and you can do some of that stuff with the New Orleans team, that's a really, really encouraging number for Kellen Moore and for the Saints as they move forward. I'm not here to tell you that Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks look a ton like that Eagles wide receiving core we watched last year. It was just fantastic. But it's about play calling, creating space, and Olave's been a 1,000-yard guy. Cooks can make big plays. I'm not saying steer away from Kamara. Get him the ball. But you don't want it to become too much of the offense. You need the offense to push the ball down the field. So I think these numbers are great. It's incredible that Ross pulled this stuff up, and these are the kind of things that you can get over at LouisianaSports.net. And there's something that I'll certainly be monitoring as we move forward with this New Orleans team. It's kind of interesting to go into a season without just like a vice grip on your expectations, holding on for dear life. It's just kind of, you go in going, well, I hope this looks good. And if it can look something like that, you can really crank up the optimism meter in New Orleans. Let's look at the Saints here on this Thursday. If you're looking for Saints content, you can certainly find it. Hunt on Saints. Hunt on Saints is where all of our Saints content lives, on YouTube as well as wherever you find your podcasts. LouisianaSports.net, great free resource as well. All right, when we come back, we'll close out this week. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. Storm season is here. Is your property policy ready to go? Do you even know? Trust your insurance broker. The Highland Insurance Group would love to earn your trust. Just let them look at your property policy. Let them look at your entire insurance program. They've got dozens of markets they're contracted with, and they know where to place your commercial insurance. If you're thinking, I need to call an insurance broker because I've got to save 20% on my renewal, I can't promise you that. Not in this marketplace. But what I can promise you is if you call the Highland Insurance Group, you're going to get a broker who is knowledgeable, who is an expert, and who can help make sure that your insurance program is ready to respond when that problem comes, whether that's a storm, like the season we're in right now, cyber attack, car accident, lawsuit, whatever the case may be. Make sure your limits are right. Make sure your exclusions don't leave you vulnerable. There's no loopholes, and that you're properly covered for the money that you pay annually in that premium. That's what Jonathan Carver and his team can promise you. Trust your insurance broker like your attorney, like your CPA. The Highland Insurance Group is ready to help. If you want them to audit your policy for free, go online to highlandig.com, fill out the contact information. They'll give you a call. Jonathan Carver and his team are great to work with. They're right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out to Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. We'll have some of that on the grill this evening out at the lake. Palmer's headed out for a family weekend. Looking very much forward to it, no matter what your plans are this weekend. Hope you are safe. Enjoy some time with the friends. And we'll be out tomorrow, back in action on Monday's show. Looking forward to that. Start to look forward towards SEC Media Days, which are the following week in Atlanta, and we'll certainly keep an eye on the baseball transfer portal as things crank up. And next week, I promise you, I will dive very deeply into LSU's baseball signing class and what the prospects are for that group with the MLB draft looming in the next week. So I'll get deep into that on next week's show. So one more order of business today. That's, of course, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Speaking of this weekend on the lake, there will be plenty of Flight by Yingling to be had out there. If you're headed to pick up something cold to drink this weekend as we speak, might I suggest stopping in and grabbing a Flight by Yingling. You can find it wherever you pick up your beer. It is crisp, it is cold, it is refreshing, and it is light. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, the next generation of light beer. It is Flight by Yingling. That's America's oldest brewery. Let's roll back.
Alrighty, first one here. In the spirit of that, you will have at least 8 beers this weekend. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's one of the safer bets. Vegas is not taking any action on that, I can promise
the odds are going to be, there's no odds on that one.
My uncle's got this great deal that he does. He takes a cinder block and he ties all these ropes to it and then throws it to the bottom of the lake by the pier. And then all the ropes come up in there. You can clip your little raft, those little rafts that you sit in.
Yeah.
So you don't float off. Everybody's just tethered to the cinder block. And then we just sit there. It is a beer graveyard out there, folks.
Okay, make sure to apply some sunscreen, huh? We don't need a red Hunt Palmer on Monday.
We really don't. And you know what? Over the years, we've really gotten better at sunscreen application.
That's good.
There was always that. I was never that bad at it. But in college, spring break, that first day, somebody on spring break goes out there at 9:45 a.m. and goes in at 5 and never put sunscreen on once.
Yes.
And then they wake up the next day and
they're
they
red.
are just baked. That happened every year. And you watch that and you go, I never want to be that. And then when I go on vacation, I'm an adult. That's debatable.
You are by
debatable.
definition.
Debatable.
You are.
But whenever I'm on vacation or something, and I'm going to be playing golf, you can't have your golf compromised by a sunburn. So,
no.
I've got the sunscreen bottle out every 40 minutes on the beach. We're getting 50 on there. We're not messing around with the sun.
All right, next one here. This is a bit of a trivia, if you will, for take it or leave it. The Cubs have 2 starters in the All-Star game, Pete Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker, both outfielders. You remember the last outfield tandem to be All-Stars for the Cubs. Take it or leave it.
I remember them. I'll take it. I don't know if I can name them off the top of my head, so I'll try. Outfielders that were team. The first 2 names that popped into my head were Moises Alou and Sammy Sosa.
A little bit after that.
A little bit after that.
In terms of more recently than that.
Soriano would have been an all-star a few years. Maybe Kosuke Fukudome.
That's it. 2008.
Oh, baby,
there you go.
You know Soriano hit 420 homers.
Yeah, well, his first few years of the Cubs, he was really, really good, and then the last 4 were horrible.
He struck out a lot. They used to throw him sliders away, and he would look like a clown.
He was like Javi Baez in his prime in terms of swinging at just terrible pitches.
And it was always the same pitch. It was a slider away, and it was just waved over the top.
The scouting report was out, and there was no chance. But yes, 2008, Alfonso Soriano and Kosuke Fukudome, both all-stars.
In Fukudome's first game ever, he hit a 9th-inning game-tying home run against the Brewers, and I was watching in the fraternity house. Went nuts on opening day.
He was
it was 35 at Wrigley that day.
Yeah, he was really good those first few months, and then after that, not so much. But all right, last one here. I am breaking 90 on Saturday. Take it or leave it.
I need some details.
All right, well, so I told you where I'm playing, which it's Carter Plantation. Not the easiest course.
Breaking 90?
Yes.
I will leave it. I will challenge you
leave it alone
to see if you can get it done.
Okay.
We challenged you with the 999 challenge, which you failed miserably.
Okay, all right, yes.
Atrocious effort.
I had no chance.
You had 3 hot dogs and 2 beers.
No, that's not true. That is not true at all. I had 6 beers and 4 hot dogs.
Which is not going to get it done.
No, it's not.
But what do you think you're going to shoot? Do you feel confident?
I do actually, Hunt. I've been working on my swing a lot.
Wow.
The swing's feeling good. And I've also been listening to Bob Rotell's book, Golf is Not a Game of Perfect.
Sound like my dad.
So I'm trying to
get in the swing box, the decision box, and get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what? You don't think that there's any credence to what this guy is really popular with all the professional golfers?
I think everybody needs to chill out about their golf games and just hit the next shot like me and probably drink some more beer. That's probably what you need to do.
I'll try that.
I should be a golf sports psychologist. Here's my advice to all the amateur golfers out there, yourself included.
Okay.
Here's the deal. You're not very good, so don't expect to hit every shot really good.
Okay, I'm not, but I'm trying to have the confidence in mindset. I don't want to just step up and say, oh, I'm probably gonna shank this one. Like I'm trying to just be confident, Hunt. All right, is that just a crime?
That's okay. Whenever I talk to my buddy when we play in this tournament once a year, I look at him and go, look, we're in a flight with 10 groups. That's a total of 8 other golfers that are playing, 16 other golfers that are playing against us. They all suck. So when you hit a bad shot, don't worry about it because they're gonna hit tons of bad shots too.
Yes.
That's what everybody that's an amateur needs to get through their brains. Why would you expect to hit a great shot?
I definitely
You're not that good.
Yeah, no. I'm trying not to be too upset with that. I usually am. I'm usually not.
Hope everybody has an awesome 4th of July. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We're out of here tomorrow. Back on Monday. Talking baseball transfer portal probably. Have a great 4th. See you Monday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects.